This is Carmen White Yannick. I'm here live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I'm coming to you today to bring you one of my greatest lessons learned. And I call it What's Hiding in Your Lingerie Drawer. You see, in 2005, I did something that was spectacular, something I had never done before. I took a risk. I risked being out there. I risked being known. I risked having my voice heard. Now, it's not the first time that my voice had ever been heard. I had been singing since I was 6 years old, preaching since I was 21. And I had been on a lot of other people's projects. I had done many sermons. I had spoken at universities and churches and retreats and all these other kinds of places. But I had never taken my words and placed them in a product that I was going to put out to the world. I found the right engineer to be on the boards, to be in there with me, and to record everything for me. And I recorded this in a studio at my church. It was like the final recording done in that particular church, and it's very well known, a very well known pastor. And many people before me, highly recognizable people, had been in that sanctuary, on that stage, and even in that studio before me. So it was a little bit intimidating, if I do say so. However, I was engulfed in that moment by something greater than those persons who had come before me. I was engulfed by and overtaken by such a great sense of, this is a moment. This is a divine appointment, and I must seize this moment. So I stood in that studio, me, a microphone, my handwritten notes, and the engineer, and I began to speak everything that seemingly, it felt like it was being downloaded directly from the divine. And Spirit was so palpable in that room. Both myself and the engineer could feel it. It was almost we could touch it. And I began on a journey. I was excited, and I was also scared. I was excited about embarking upon this new journey. I was excited about being somewhere I had never been before, going somewhere I had never gone before. I wanted to create something powerful, and I did. We did. That was 2005. Most of my friends didn't even know that I had created that CD. Most of them not until 2014. What did I do with the CD? What producers did it come in front of? What happened to it? I hid it. I shared it with a few people. I got some feedback, and it was favorable in some cases, and it was some critique, but the critique was coming from folks who were in the stands of their own life. They were not in the game. They were not pushing and clawing and being shoved around, trying to release that which they had been given to release into the world. And what did I do with their critique? I mixed it in with my own inner critic, and I hid. I took that CD, I placed it in my lingerie drawer, and I didn't take it out for years. For years. I decided that it and I was not good enough. I opened myself up to a few voices, but none of those voices were speaking more negative chatter than my own. My inner dismissive critic was speaking so loudly that it shifted the excitement into shame. I was ashamed to let go. I was ashamed to allow or be open to what I really said I desired. And I know I'm not alone, because as a human being, I understand that my situation and circumstance may not be identical. Most times it's not identical to yours. But what I do know for sure is that some part of what we go through has already been experienced by someone else and will be experienced by someone else. That's why it's called a lesson. I had to regroup, recalibrate from that place of shame. And for those years, I just kept it inside of that drawer. I only released it in the most clandestine ways. I mean, it was so covert that it wasn't really like I was releasing something. It was kind of like, here you go. And my friends would be like, or who I gave it to would be like, what is this? I was like, it's my CD. What do you mean your CD? I never knew that you did a CD. I know I never told anybody. That's why you didn't know. And then there was the recoil. I would go back into that shell and place that CD, place that master back in the lingerie drawer. And I did that over and over and over again. I had a friend of mine, Chad, who was recanting to me, was telling me how that CD really did something for him. He actually used it the way I really had originally wanted it to be used. He used it during his meditation and his time of prayer and connection to the divine and to God. And he told me how it just opened him up, and that was really what I wanted. But isn't it interesting how you can want that for other people, but don't see and not see how you need a place in you to be opened up? So I really couldn't even receive his compliment and hear what he said about how the CD helped him, because I was still so stuck inside of my own shame. In fact, I was stuck on a carousel, a merry-go-round. I want to share with you now a particular episode that I was watching, one of my favorite shows, Grey's Anatomy. I'm sure other people also enjoy that show. But on this particular episode, it was when Derek, Dr. McDreamy, had made his transition and died. And Meredith began to experience this reoccurring dream where there was a carousel, and it involved her mother. And her mother said these words, "You can never get off. It keeps going. You can never get off." That's how I felt. I felt like I could never get off of this circular movement. And I promise you, Allison Bird, the Profit Accelerator, talks about a rinse and repeat program. I guarantee you this is not what she was meaning. She was not meaning that this was the rinse and repeat that you should follow. This is the kind of system that you should have for your business. But I was repeating that same thing, going around and around and around. And the thing about merry-go-rounds give the illusion that you're actually going somewhere. They give the illusion that you're actually going somewhere. You're in motion, but you're not really going anywhere. And so I had to discover how to get off. And in that particular episode, Meredith begins to understand that she has a choice point. A choice point arrived, and she had to decide and to choose. I can get off. I can do this. And just like Meredith, I had to decide, I can do this. I really can do this. And so can you. And it's one decision after the other. It's not a once for all. It's one decision, one great decision after the other. And so I listen to that because I'm always in that place of listening and trying to hear what's being spoken to me, whether that's through a movie or that's through a poem or that's spoken word or that's through music. But this time it was through this episode of Grey's Anatomy. And Meredith gets to a point where she's going to go back and do surgeries again. And Dr. Bailey asked her one simple question: can you do this? And Meredith, without delay, emphatically says, all I have to do is begin. There's always a starting place. On the CD that I did, Spoken Word Volume 1, one of the things that I talked about is that you can begin again. You can regain your momentum. Isn't it interesting that we can have those things come out of us and we're still challenged to believe it for ourselves, but we can give it to someone else? That's where I was. But in that moment, I understood all I had to do was begin. And begin where? Right where I was. I didn't have to go somewhere else. I had to start exactly where I was. I desired to reach continents with my CD, with this product, just like books. I wanted that stamp on there that said it was interpreted in 200 different languages, even if 190 98 of them, I did not know what they were, but I wanted to have that because that's what I wanted to believe about myself. And one of the things that I began to do while my CD was neatly tucked away in my lingerie drawer, I began to give myself what I call low risk challenges, which meant I just began to burn the CD, package it super cool, and give it out to people. I would mail it across the country, mail it to another part of the world, so that I was experiencing that I was moving. I was moving in the direction of getting out of the place of being hidden, that I was exposing myself on purpose. I was placing myself in a position where I could be critiqued, where it could be scrutinized. And I wanted to stand in my power, knowing that whether it was critiqued or scrutinized, the product was still a great product. And I know, like myself, many of you are there too. You have a great product, but it's in secret and nobody knows about it but you. This is an opportunity for you to rise up, to awaken that place inside of yourself, to stir that place inside of you that says you can. And that all you have to do is begin. No matter how long. I kept mine in there for 9 years. It didn't mean that I was done. It just meant that I was delaying what already had been opened up for me. And if I challenged myself to move in the direction of abundance, which is our birthright, that I would also claim the responsibility that it was to give to the world what I came here to give. You see, beloved, before your parents ever came together, you decided to come here. You selected to be here. So now that you're here, now that we're all here, it is time for us to rise up and to release into the world that which we have been called to deliver, that which we have been mandated to give to the world. Because when we don't, somebody, somewhere needs us. Our voices matter. Our lives matter. What we bring to the marketplace matters. As my friend T.J. Mercer would say, we are someone's answer to prayer. Someone's praying for your gadget, your widget, your program, your consultation, your group, your business. Somebody, somewhere is in need of you. Don't you dare remain hidden, because hidden things never get seen. I decided that I was coming out. I decided that I wanted to be seen, heard, and understood. And the only way for that to occur is that I had to come out of hiding. I had to come out of a place of obscurity and anonymity. I had to show myself. So what am I asking you today? I'm asking you to show up, to stand up, to speak up, to speak out, to gravitate towards groups and environments where you can grow, where you can come to know who you are and release it into the world with power, with velocity, with pace, with strength, with courage, and exchange your shame for vulnerability, which is not weakness. It's actually strength personified. That's what you can do today. You can stand up. You can man up. You can put your big girl panties on. Suck it up, because life is going to happen. It's inevitable. But you have a choice about what happens inside of that life. You have a choice about what happens with your life. You have a responsibility not to lean into your excuses. You have a responsibility to live the high life. You have a responsibility to be more, to do more, to live well, to be well. You, beloved, can rise up. You, beloved, it's your time. You, beloved, need to sing a new song and dance a new dance. It's time for you to rise. Awaken to that place inside of you that knows, that it knows, that it knows that you came here to be a difference maker. You came here to be the change you wanted to see. You came here to open it wide and walk through places that your ancestors have paved the way for you, that their feet never touched the earth that your feet are touching right now today. So it's time to do more. It's time to be more. It's time to come out of hiding, because all you have to do is begin. Today is your day. Answer your call. It's not okay for you to stay right where you are. It's time to rise. If you will say yes, let's rise together. Thank you.